You were the first journalist to purchase these electoral bonds and figure out that there was a unique identification number in those electoral bonds.
Officer, SBI officer was a bit suspicious. He was trying to figure out, why am I there to purchase electoral bond? It was very new. Not many people knew about it. It is not just about the fact that which they were harping, that the anonymity will be maintained. That didn't exist. Now what is coming through electoral bond data is that the black money has through shell company, black money has also infiltrated in political funding system. SBI, since it works under finance ministry, would they not share the data with the government if asked for? So that is there. Now, unique number is, of course, the only way to track it. It looks like shell companies which are not making much profit and donating 95% of whatever income they have to the political party, that shows itself that it cannot be a proper company. It's a shell, and some of these companies are 4 months old, and then they're providing donation. I can't say about television media. I cannot really talk about them. We know what is going on. All of us know what is going on, and it is very sad. That's all I can say, because I've worked in television media for almost 10 years, and I know how it works, and I also know the impact of television media. Let's not rule out that it does have a major impact if they really start reporting on some issue. Unfortunately, that's not the case now.
Hello and welcome to the News Minute. For the past 1.5 weeks, independent media houses and several other independent journalists have been covering one story, the biggest story of our times, the electoral bonds. However, the other media, the English media, the TV channels have been looking the other way, but it's the independent media houses that have been consistently reporting on this one story. And today I have with me a reporter who has tracked electoral bonds since its inception in 2018. Poonam Agarwal, who is an award-winning investigative journalist, who is also the founder of Explain X. Poonam, thank you so much for talking to us. Poonam, can you take us through your experience of tracking these electoral bonds since 2018? You were the first journalist to purchase these electoral bonds and figure out that there was a unique identification number in those electoral bonds.
Yeah, so in 2018, I was working for the Quint, and that was the organization. It's a news platform. So, of course, as you understand, Shabir, that any story, it happens when there's a discussion in the newsroom, and exactly that happened. So there was a discussion with my editor about electoral bond, whether it is actually anonymous or is there something more to it. So before purchasing electoral bond, I did research on it, of course, and also spoke to few SBI officers who were working in the SBI, and checked about the electoral bond, that is it exactly the way we have been told, that the donor's name will be anonymous, or is it there's something more to it? And I specifically asked them that will there be any serial number, because serial number is the only way to track in the banking system. So if there is for example, if you take a check from anybody, how do you track it? There's a check number. When you deposit, they record the check number and the signature also they verify. Similarly, I asked them, then these officers said, no, there's nothing, there's no serial number. I filed a story on it. Then I rested on it. Fine. Then when it started being the bonds were sold, then again we had a discussion. Then we decided to purchase 1,000 rupees bond, because that's the denomination. It starts from 1,000 rupees. It's not a lot of money. 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakhs. So I went to the SBI branch in Delhi, Parliament Street, where I spoke to first of all, let me tell you that it was not easy to find out where exactly I need to go and purchase it, because there was only a handful of officers, SBI officers, who were in charge of this. They were only allowed to sell it. So I went to, if I correctly remember, it was 5th or the 7th floor of the SBI branch in Parliamentary Street, and then the SBI officer was a bit suspicious. He was trying to figure out, why am I there to purchase electoral bond? It was very new. Not many people knew about it. And maybe I look like a young girl who has no idea about politics or anything. Then he said, why do you want to buy bonds? I said, look, I got to know about this scheme. I read about it. I'm keen to see how it is, and I want to donate. So could you please give me one? Finally, he said, okay, fine. And then he took all my KYC, the Aadhaar card, the PAN card number. He also made me fill a few forms. Everything was taken. Then I paid the money, 1,000 rupees through check. So it was entirely white money, nothing, no cash, no transaction in cash. So after that, he told me to wait outside, as in outside in the bank, like
Waiting
there's
area.
waiting area. Yeah, correct. And then he gave me the bond after half an hour or so in an envelope. Fine, I came back and I saw there wasn't anything except for the date written on it. And then I asked the officer, why have you written the date? I checked them whether my name is there or anywhere or not. Then he said the date is there only because it's valid for 15 days. So that when you submit or the political party submits the bond, the validity of the bond will be known. Otherwise, it will not be. So I said, fair enough. I didn't see any name anywhere. It was a clean printed bond. You've seen the bond already. Now, when I came back to office, of course, there was another round of discussion. But there's something called, you just, when things are too clean, too good to, believe. That was the situation in my case. I said, fine, it seems to be genuine in the sense that maybe it is anonymous. But then I spoke to my editor and I decided that let's send it for forensic test. So my editor said, fine, send it. Where will you send it? That was one question. And secondly, he said, like, how much will it cost and all that? How long will it take? I said, I know one person. There's a lab called Truth Lab in Delhi. I can go talk to them and request them to give the results as soon as possible. I went there and the rest is history. You know that there is a serial number. So one bond when I purchased, then when the report came, report took 1 week to come in writing because it was just not the serial number. There were many other,
Markings.
Watermarks, yeah, markings. So they took a week time to prepare the entire thing, the document, the report. But of course, since I knew people there, they said that there is a serial number in it. Now, serial number, I know there's a hidden serial number alphanumeric. Whether it's unique or not, for that, I need to buy one more bond. So again, I appeared there at the bank, same thing I told him. He gave me another 1,000 rupees bond. I sent it for lab test. Then we found that it is unique. So the serial number was actually 01 at the end with other numbers in the beginning. And the second was 02 with the other numbers, same numbers in the beginning. So it was in sequence. So this is how I found out that there are actually hidden numbers. So this feature we have never seen, of course, as common people. I'm not from banking sector. I don't know anything about it. So I checked with one RBI officer, retired. I asked him that, sir, this is what I've seen in electoral bond, and I've already filed an article. I want to know from you, how common is this feature? He said, in my entire career, I've never seen that feature. I said, what does this show? He said, I can't say. Then he said, not even in currency you will find such features. There's nothing. There are watermarks, which you can see in the daylight. But this is something absolutely uncommon. He said, you can see only under ultraviolet ray. It's a feature he never heard of.
It's a hidden feature.
It's a hidden, the technology also. Somebody must have thought through it. Then it's only visible under ultraviolet ray. So now it is visible under ultraviolet ray, which means that I'm sure SBI has many ultraviolet ray torches, which they use to see it and then sell it off. So that's how the entire thing happened. And after the report was filed, just to add on to this, Finance Ministry came out with a press release saying that, yes, they accepted there is a hidden number, which is unique. And they also said it's a security feature.
The entire argument about the electoral bonds was it was to ensure that there is transparency in political funding. But the basic fact itself is that they have a unique number in electoral bonds, and that fact was not revealed to the general public.
Yeah, so the reason why electoral bonds was launched was primarily for two reasons. One, to keep the donor's identity anonymous. That's what they said. And to pump in white money so that black money doesn't come into political funding. That is what they said. So these were the two reasons. Now, anonymity has been thrown out of the window because there is a tracker. Although finance ministry never admitted that it's used for tracking. They only said it's a security feature. But the serial unique number is the way to track. But later on, few RTIs were filed to SBI where SBI said the file notings were pulled out in which SBI admitted recording these numbers for audit trail.
Audit trail.
Otherwise the banking system will collapse. How will you function? It's all about numbers. You need to keep a record of how many being sold, how many being encashed, and how many of them have not been encashed. How will you get these data? And most of these data are already in public domain. People have filed, people like transparency campaigners like Commodore Lokesh Batra, Anjali Bhardwaj, who've been constantly working on it. They have filed multiple RTIs on it. That's how we know how much have been sold and how much have been encashed or not encashed. And all of these data are available on Association for Democratic Reform, the organization which filed the petition, the Electoral Bonds. So it is not just about the fact that which they were harping that the anonymity will be maintained. That didn't exist. Now what is coming through electoral bond data is that the black money has that through shell company, black money has also infiltrated in political funding system.
So basically the entire process of bringing these electoral bonds, or the claims that were made, the tall claims that were made by the government, has completely crumbled.
Absolutely. And not just that, the Supreme Court order is, it's a landmark judgment where they have called it unconstitutional and illegal. So that's
and it paves way for quid pro quo.
Yeah, that shows the desperation of the government to bring in why they wanted it. Of course, the petition was filed on the fact that lack of transparency. One was the reason shown was that. But apart from that, there were multiple documents. Objections were raised by RBI, by Election Commission, and their primary objections were it will lead to shell companies routing their black money into political funding, and lack of transparency because Election Commission couldn't ask the name of the donors of political parties. That is a big transparency issue. And also RBI also said that it should not be sold in a physical form. It should be sold in a digital form. And the reason was that, if you may allow me to tell in brief, Poonam Agarwal purchased electoral bond. She runs a company. But Poonam Agarwal, instead of giving that directly to the political party, she uses her company's money to purchase it. But instead of giving it directly to the party, she gives it to Shabir. Shabir takes it and gives it to the political party and says that Shabir, who runs company A, is donating this money. So what? Money laundering has happened from Poonam's company to Shabir's company, and the political party submits it. So that is also routing the money, or I can say that Poonam Agarwal actually gives cash to Shabir, that you take the cash from me and you purchase in your company's name the electoral bond and give it to the political party of your choice. This is also money laundering. You're routing money through shell companies. That is exactly what we are getting to know right now.
Okay. Also, Poonam, the unique identification number, as they claim, it's for audit trail. But don't you think it's common knowledge that if you have the audit trail, if you know who's purchasing the bonds, if you know which political party it's being given to, the government obviously knows. If the bank knows, the government knows, right?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't the government know? And SBI works under finance ministry. It's a national bank. By of course, I mean that we can only conclude that SBI, since it works under finance ministry, would they not share the data with the government if asked for? So that is there. Now, unique number is, of course, the only way to track it.
And that is one of the primary reasons why the SBI was reluctant to give away the unique numbers. And once again, when they went to the Supreme Court for another purpose, the Supreme Court caught that point, and now they are being forced to reveal those unique numbers. And whatever data has come out now, it's just a data where we cannot match who bought the electoral bonds and which political party benefited out of it. But now, if the unique number comes out, what exactly happens? Will we get a clear picture? And now more questions will arise, right?
So if I'm sure you must have seen the data, the way it has been uploaded on the SBI website.
Yeah.
It is in part one. Part one speaks about three columns: the date of purchase, the purchaser's name, and the denomination. Part two, the date on which it was redeemed by the political party, name of the party, and the denomination. So we have these two silo of data which the Mr. Harish Salve said that they can provide, and they have provided. Now the fact that the unique number is, I'll try to simplify in a way that your viewers understand that unique number, if at all it comes in a form, I'm not saying it will. All I'm saying that, considering that there've been 2-3 hearings in the Supreme Court, still the court has not got all the details, in spite of the fact that they mentioned all details. The fact that I hope that the way SBI gives the serial number in a way that we are able to tally them. For instance, Poonam Agarwal purchased a bond of 01 number, serial number 01, and with denomination 1000 rupees. Now, that particular 01 number was encashed by political party A. So we can definitely tally them, and then we can match who gave how much to which political party. So this tallying can be done, or the matching can be done by us. They are not ready to do it. They're saying they'll take 3 months time. But whether we get the data in this form, exactly in this form, is question. Is something I can't say what they're thinking. And that is the only way. If we do not get the entire data in this way, like even if it is in two parts, it will not really serve the purpose. Just the unique number, say if they suppose they provide only of the purchaser, like the bond which was purchased by the person, the corporate company, and they say that, okay, company A purchased this number bond, but if they do not show that the political party who redeemed it actually redeemed this number of electoral bond, then we cannot match.
And the data that has come out in the public domain, which several media houses have processed those data, and they are putting out stories. One thing is very clear, that black money seems to have been pumped into through electoral bonds, and political funding has happened through black money. And the other thing is the role of agencies. Particularly, there are some companies that have come under the Enforcement Directorate scanner, CBI scanner. Income tax cases are there on these companies, and all these companies seems to have purchased bonds, and they have given money to political parties.
Yes. So of course, the data itself speaks about the fact that that shell companies, it looks like shell companies which are not making much profit and donating 95% of whatever income they have to the political party, that shows itself that it cannot be a proper company. It's a shell, and some of these companies are 4 months old, and then they're providing donation. So shell company is very much evident with the data that we have got. But now what next is the question, right?
That's right. Yeah, go
Firstly,
ahead.
firstly, the thing is that we need to match. Matching needs to be done, which can be done after the number is out. Second, what next? If see, we can find out as journalists, you and I, or civil society, or people working with ADR and other organization, we can only find out evidence showing that there is a possibility of money laundering, there's a possibility of corruption, there's a possibility of quid pro quo or kickback given to certain companies for donation. But we cannot go beyond that. Then the task of agencies, investigating agencies, start. We are not judiciary, we are not investigating agency. We cannot really do anything or investigate them in a way which is required. So that's a big question. Now, who will do it? Whether our investigating agencies, will they do it? At the current situation that we are living in, we are all aware of what's going on, how CBI, ED, and IT, they're functioning, how they've been again and again criticized for targeting people who are not in the good books of the ruling party, be it common man, journalist, or activist, or politician, everybody. So anybody who rubs the government on the wrong side, they've been targeted in some way or the other and harassed. So it's all documented, it's all out in public. So people know how it's working. So the question is, how will it happen? Are we going to stop here just by saying that corruption happened? We don't know what to do next. It cannot be that. So in this situation, again, if you remember what happened in 2G case, in the UPA government, I'm talking about in the UPA government, coal scam, all of them were court monitored. The court ordered, the Supreme Court ordered investigation, and it was then court monitored. So that's what we are expecting again, maybe. That's the way ahead. Court monitored investigation.
Like I said in the beginning, Poonam, for the past 1.5 weeks, independent media houses and journalists have been keenly reporting on these electoral bonds. But when we talk about the English media, the Hindi media, particularly the TV channels, they are looking the other way. You and I have worked in national television channels, and I've seen you reporting on the 2G scam, the CWG scam, the coal scam, where you will bring out documents in public domain, and that created some sort of a pressure from the public as well as on the agencies, on the government to investigate these matters. And now we have a huge amount of data where companies have purchased electoral bonds of worth thousands of crores of rupees, and the media is looking the other way.
I can't say about television media. I cannot really talk about them. We know what is going on. All of us know what is going on. And it is very sad. That's all I can say, because I've worked in television media for almost 10 years. And I know how it works. And I also know the impact of television media. Let's not rule out that. It does have a major, major impact if they really start reporting on some issue. Unfortunately, that's not the case now. But I'm a very positive person. Whatever we have done, even on electoral bond, if I say, when I first reported it 6 years ago, even politicians weren't aware of it. But today, here I stand. Today, we know what it is. Today, we have, been able to, a group of people worked on it, just not me, a group of, trust me, there were many dedicated, passionate people who worked on this scheme rather, and ensured that there's some positive outcome. And ADIA who had been filing petition, they started way back in 2017-18, and then they filed supplementary petition as well based on whatever they were getting information on it. So we all worked on it together, and the Supreme Court passed a judgment. Similarly, we are again looking forward to the court, because we are not hopeful that, at least I can say for myself, that it's not what it was. Even the agencies, even if they want to do anything on it, they might not be able to do it. You know what I mean? So that is the truth, and there's no harm in talking about it. We all know what's the situation. So the only hope that I have, and I am sure many people who worked on this, that based on some solid evidence or investigation that is done by journalists, even the News Minute is working on it, a group of journalists, they are working on it, they've come out with such good reports exposing the electoral bond data. So people like us, as in journalists who are working on it, can only bring out the evidence and let court decide whether it requires investigation or not. Of course, it's not the end. It's not the end. But my only fear is that, are we going to talk about it after 1 week? Will people be interested in it, knowing more about it? Because elections have been announced. We know it's starting from 19th of April. The focus will divert there. But nonetheless, we have to do our job, and then court needs to decide on it. And I'm sure many people will join hands then.
And also, Poonam, one last question. The government's response, there are two kinds of response. One response was from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who said that even if companies have donated through electoral bonds, still the investigative agencies have tracked them. They have knocked their doors. Then there is another response from the Home Minister of India, Amit Shah. He said that 303 MPs are from the BJP, and we have received an amount of 6,000 rupees, though he gave a wrong data in the public domain. But the kind of response that is coming in from the government, how do you see this? And what exactly will be the next, next thing as far as the electoral bonds are concerned? It's up to the courts, or like, can the government do something about it, or should political parties pressure the government to come out to do something about electoral bonds?
See, electoral bonds is a history now. The scheme
Hmm.
has been struck down. It
Export.
is,
Hmm.
yeah. So it is not. It's unconstitutional. Illegal. Court has done that. So electoral bond scheme is over. Now we are working on the data to find out what. To find out quid pro quo. It's not that we
Hmm.
are interested in the company. We are interested in quid pro quo. That's what exactly we are trying to do. As far as the government is concerned, let them say whatever they want to. We know it's not true. So let's not be bothered about it. We know what they want to say. They're defending. And that's what exactly they've been doing ever since this scheme was launched. They said, no, it will protect, it will not let black money filter in. But it's not true. We all see that. We can see that the data speaks so loudly about it. So now what next? Bonds have gone. Now what next? Exactly. That's the question. No, and I've spoken to some experts, and they are saying that the entire political funding system should be digitized.
Hmm.
We use UPI to pay, and our government have been promoting it largely on international platform that we use UPI even to
And
pay
and
rickshaw.
and we live in digital India now.
Yeah, so even to pay 10 rupees, we use UPI to rickshawala or to taxi wala. We use that. So why can't we use the same for political donation? Let that be. Then that will the entire donation will take place in white money, no cash transaction. Let that happen. Let them receive, and then as far as the law is concerned, I'm sure they have to declare it to the election commission. That's what exactly has been happening. Had been happening. Any donation which was above 20,000 rupees, the political parties were supposed to declare the names of those donors to the election commission. It was only the electoral bond scheme that changed it. That under electoral bond scheme, they just need to tell the amount of the donation they received through it, but not the name of the purchasers. So let's go back to that. Announce, declare the names of the donors and pay through digital media. We are sorted.
And the other question, do you think that opposition parties are doing enough to put pressure on the government?
As far as the opposition is concerned, I've done a video on my platform, and I've actually shared it with more opposition party as well. They're saying that fine, we don't know who are the donors, we are not able to match, but we know that 54%, over 54% went to the ruling party and rest to the opposition parties. Why can't opposition parties put out the names in the public domain of their donors? I think some politician from the Congress said that they will do it. I don't know who exactly. Shouldn't they do it? Congress is second number, then TMC, then others follow. Please declare the names of the corporates who gave you money and how much. It's so easy for us to then tally, and and it will also pressurize the ruling government to put out the names of their donors. So
That's right.
they've been criticizing bonds and the schemes and everything, but right now it's the moment of showing action. Where is the action? It's been just 2 days, 3 days that the data has come out, but I'm sure they must have compiled the data, who the donors are, who gave how much money. I'm sure they are keeping the books intact. It's for the political party, so they should come out and declare it.
Well, hopefully, let's see if the opposition parties are willing to take that step. But thank you, Poonam, for joining us and explaining our viewers about what exactly has happened in electoral bonds and what will be the next course of action. And once again, congratulations to you for bringing all these details out in public domain. Like I said, all it takes is 2,000 rupees to expose this entire scheme of political corruption, or the scheme that paved way for massive, massive corruption, political corruption in this country. Thank you, Poonam, for joining.
Just want to add one thing to that. My 2,000 rupees went to Prime Minister Relief Fund because I never donated it. And as per the law, which existed, and the money which is not encashed went to the PM cares, Prime Minister Relief Fund.
Prime
So yeah,
Minister Relief
I'm a
Fund. Yeah.
donor as well of 2000 rupees.
And your name is in the list. It is in that historic list of parties or people who
The
purchased
purchase,
electoral bonds. Mhm.
yeah.
Right, Poonam.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank you.
us. Thank you.
Thank you.